Yeah.
Well,
Interesting.
this was the last day that we've been attending the court case in The Hague. We were not allowed to get in, so that's why we had our office outside. Laptops, we have followed everything via live stream.
And in a way, it's a nice break from being in a courtroom for 3 weeks, sitting outside in the fresh air. But it's kind of strange what happened here. We've been refused entry into the court, or refused. Nobody was allowed in.
Yeah, but Alex, you know, we had like written proof. We had confirmation that we would get access. The court had reserved 2 seats for us. They sent that confirmation to our attorney. We had access all days. Only yesterday and today we had not, which coincidentally sort of was when Japan had their final arguments and final conclusions. When we asked for what were the reasons we were not allowed entry, first it was the hearing is not open to the public. Second argument suddenly was technical reasons. We don't have a clue what that was supposed to mean. And finally, after a few telephone calls, the argument was that the court does not need to justify why they deny entry to visitors. So well,
it's basically very clear. You know, the Japanese delegation probably complained about our presence here, and they've been probably complaining ever since the court case started. And eventually, for some reason, their complaint was taken seriously, and everybody was been denied access to the court. And obviously, they couldn't just deny Sea Shepherd because then it would be too obvious. So they in fact denied everybody from the public entry into the court. The last day and a half, Japanese presentation has been pretty much the same as they did in the first round of oral arguments, only from a different angle. They're desperately trying to win this court case. I think they have no case, because it's plain and obvious what's been happening here.
think about what has been said about scientific research. Science has been degraded to a means to justify commercial whaling. There have been some renowned professors, international renowned professors, trying to justify the JARPA and JARPA 2 program. But when you listen to what they say about there's no solid arguments, there's no logic in it.
I don't know what's going to happen next. We're going to have to wait for the verdict to come out. It could take between 6 months and a year. Could even take longer, but hopefully we'll get a positive verdict for Australia by the end of this year, and basically wouldn't have to go down to Antarctica again to stop the Japanese whalers. But if we don't get that verdict by the end of the year, then Sea Shepherd will be ready, and we will be down in the Southern Ocean again to stop Japanese whaling. But if Japan wins, then it would be very, very disturbing, because if basically any government would be allowed to do whatever they want, then anything can happen in the world, and the environment would be under attack from all angles. So I really hope that the court will take that into consideration, that the court will realize that if they give Japan their way, then they can pretty much start polluting and start raping the ocean at an unprecedented rate, and that certainly cannot happen.
If Japan tries to find a way around it, tries to manipulate the whole 1946 convention, it takes Article 8 out of context. It doesn't make sense.
Can you get a quick shot of them? They were actually in the courtroom.
Have you been invited here?
Yes.
That's strange. Yesterday you were denied access.
We were denied in the morning.
Okay.
Yes, in the afternoon, there were individuals who were permitted to go in
Okay.
through the one of the parties, the invitation. Yes, and that was the reason we were able to go.
Okay, I'm happy to.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Alex, I'm glad you saw that professor is the professor of international law from Kobe University. Yesterday he was denied access to the courthouse as well, just as us. I just spoke to him and asked, dear professor, have you been attending the hearing? He said, yes, I have. And the second meeting yesterday afternoon as well.
So the Australian delegation's coming out as well. So it's pretty obvious that we were the only ones that were denied access. Whereas yesterday it appeared that it was all the public, but now it's very clear that Sea Shepherd has been denied access, which is of course, not very democratic if you think about it. It's plain and simple. We have been denied access to the court because we are Sea Shepherd. It makes you wonder what is going on here. We've been inside for 3 weeks without any problems, and all of a sudden the last week we've been denied. And at first they made it appear that the whole public was not allowed in for whatever reason, and today it's been very clear that a person that was denied yesterday all of a sudden was granted access to the court today. So it's obvious, it's plain and simple that this is about Sea Shepherd. We're not being allowed inside. If we don't get that verdict by the end of the year, then Sea Shepherd will be ready, and we will be down in the Southern Ocean again to stop Japanese whaling.